What if God had a dark side? And what if the story of Job was not just about suffering, but about the evolution of consciousness itself? Carl Jung's Answer to Job is one of the most daring and controversial theological and psychological works of the 20th century. In this video, we'll dive into Jung's radical interpretation of the Book of Job and uncover how this ancient drama reflects the inner transformation of the human psyche, the evolution of God, and the path of alchemical individuation. In the Old Testament Book of Job, we meet a righteous man. Job is faithful, obedient, morally upright, and yet God allows Satan to destroy his life. His children die. His health crumbles. His wealth vanishes. All this to win a bet, to test whether Job will still praise God. And Job does remain faithful. But he dares to ask, why? God answers, not with compassion, but with overwhelming power. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? This is not the God of love. This is the God of power, of wrath, of overwhelming cosmic will. Carl Jung saw in this story something staggering. The image of God presented in Job is morally inferior to the human being. Job is just. God is not. Jung writes, Job is more conscious, more ethical than God. This challenges 2,000 years of theology, but for Jung, it's a psychological truth. The God image in the Old Testament is unintegrated. He is powerful, but split, both good and evil, both light and shadow, and Job becomes the mirror. His suffering forces God to see himself, to recognize his own shadow. Job is the first man to confront God with a moral question, and God cannot answer. In Jung's vision, what follows is monumental. The incarnation of Christ is not just a gift to humanity, it's God's attempt to heal himself. Christ is the answer to Job. God, ashamed by his treatment of Job, seeks to become human, to experience the suffering and morality he lacks. Christ becomes the vessel for that self-reflection. But even Christ is crucified, proving that the work of integration is not yet finished. The tension remains. For Jung, the story does not end with Christ. In fact, it continues in us. Each of us is now a battlefield between light and shadow, conscious and unconscious. The divine drama plays out in our dreams, our conflicts, our neurosis. The evolution of God is now the evolution of the human soul. As we become more conscious, we carry the burden of integrating what God, or the self, has not yet reconciled. Man is indispensable for the completion of creation, Jung writes. Jung often mapped spiritual transformation through alchemy, the symbolic process of turning base matter into gold. And the Answer to Job follows this path. Nigredo, blackening. The chaos and suffering of Job, the shadow of God is revealed. Everything stable dissolves. Darkness reigns. Albedo, whitening. The incarnation of Christ, the emergence of moral awareness. A new light appears. The first step toward purification. Citrinitas, yellowing. The awakening of consciousness in humanity. We begin to carry the burden of divine individuation. Rubedo, reddening. The union of opposites. The potential future, when human consciousness integrates both shadow and light, becoming whole. This isn't just theology. It's psychology in mythic form. Jung's Answer to Job is not a rejection of God. It's a call to a deeper spirituality. A spirituality where doubt is sacred and suffering is meaningful. We are not just believers or victims in this cosmic story. We are participants in the great alchemical process of divine transformation. By confronting our own shadow, by becoming more conscious, we don't just save ourselves, we help redeem the divine.